Did you know the average American throws away 81 pounds of clothing each year? Yes, you heard it right. Each year, pounds of wearable clothes are discarded, ending up in landfills, adding to the ever-growing issue of waste. We live in a society where our consumption habits have spiraled out of control, where our wants have overtaken our needs. Let's take a moment to understand the magnitude of this issue. The United States, with just 5% of the world's population, consumes a staggering 25% of its resources. And it's not just about clothes. Every year, billions of dollars are spent on electronics, furniture, and other items, many of which are often replaced before their lifespan is over. This culture of consumerism has led to a myriad of problems. From an environmental perspective, the production and disposal of these goods contribute significantly to pollution and climate change. The extraction of raw materials depletes our natural resources, while the manufacturing process often involves harmful chemicals and produces a considerable amount of greenhouse gases. On an individual level, this constant need to buy and own more leads many people into a cycle of debt. Consider the story of John, a hardworking individual who fell into the trap of excessive shopping. John was always on the lookout for the latest gadgets and the trendiest clothes. He bought things not because he needed them, but because they were new, shiny, and promised a better version of himself. Before he knew it, he was sinking under a mountain of debt, his financial security compromised by his own shopping habits. Consumerism is not just about buying. It's about the illusion of happiness and fulfillment that we associate with owning more. But in reality, this endless cycle of consumption often leaves us feeling empty and dissatisfied. Imagine what we could all achieve with less stuff and more financial freedom. Imagine a world where our self-worth isn't tied to the latest trends or the newest gadgets. It's time for us to rethink our consumption habits, for our own well-being and for the health of our planet. Ever wondered why shopping feels so good? Well, it's not just about the thrill of finding that perfect pair of shoes or scoring a great deal. It's actually rooted deep in our psychology. Let's delve into the fascinating world of retail therapy to understand why we often find ourselves buying more than we need. You see, shopping triggers the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that's associated with feelings of pleasure and satisfaction. This dopamine rush can make shopping feel like a rewarding activity. Now, imagine this scenario. Meet Jane, a hardworking professional. One day, Jane stumbles upon an online ad for a high-end handbag. The ad is captivating, with beautiful imagery and compelling copy. It promises that owning this bag will elevate Jane's status and boost her confidence. Jane finds herself drawn to it, even though she already has a collection of handbags at home. This is a classic example of how companies use marketing strategies to tap into our psychological needs and desires. They understand that we are not just buying products, we are buying feelings, experiences, and sometimes even identities. They create a sense of urgency, making us believe that we must have their products to feel happy, successful, or loved. Jane, like many of us, was manipulated by these strategies. She ended up buying the handbag not because she needed it, but because she was sold on the idea that it would enhance her life. The allure of sales and discounts is another psychological trick that retailers use. We've all been tempted by those limited time offers and buy one, get one free deals. They create a fear of missing out, pushing us to buy items we don't really need. But the truth is, these purchases often provide only temporary happiness. Once the initial excitement wears off, we're left with a sense of emptiness and sometimes even regret. We've all been there, haven't we? Buying something we don't really need because it's on sale or because the advertisement was too compelling. But understanding the psychology behind shopping is the first step in breaking free from these manipulative tactics. Have you heard about the minimalist lifestyle? Minimalism is a lifestyle choice that centers on the idea of living with less. It's not about deprivation or living without, but rather making the conscious decision to only have what you truly need and love. It's about decluttering your life, both physically and mentally, and focusing on what's truly important. Imagine living in a space where every item you own serves a purpose or brings you joy. Imagine having fewer things to clean, organize, and worry about. That's the power of minimalism. It's not just about having fewer belongings, but also about freeing up time, energy, and resources for the things that truly matter to you. Let me share a story about a woman named Sarah. Sarah was a self-proclaimed shopaholic. Her home was filled with items she'd bought on impulse or because they were on sale. She found herself constantly stressed, always cleaning, always organizing, and never truly feeling at peace in her own home. Then, Sarah discovered minimalism. She started to question each item she owned. Did it serve a purpose? Did it bring her joy? If the answer was no, she let it go. It wasn't easy, but each item she removed felt like a weight lifted off her shoulders. As Sarah's home became less cluttered, so too did her mind. She found she had more time to do the things she loved, like reading, cooking, and spending time with loved ones. She was less stressed, more focused, and genuinely happier. By choosing to live with less, Sarah had actually gained so much more. That's the beauty of minimalism. It's not about having less for the sake of having less. It's about making room for more time, more peace, more experiences. It's about breaking free from the cycle of consumerism and choosing to live a life that's focused on what truly matters. So, imagine a life with less clutter, less stress, and more freedom. Can you see it? Can you feel it? That's the power of minimalism. And it's a power that's available to all of us if we choose to embrace it. So, how can you resist the urge to buy unnecessary stuff? We're going to dive into some practical, easy-to-follow tips that can help you break free from the cycle of consumerism. Now, let's imagine a friend of ours. Let's call him Alex. Alex was a self-confessed shopaholic, always chasing the newest gadget, the trendiest clothes. But he decided to make a change. Firstly, Alex started by defining his values. What did he truly care about? He realized he valued experiences over possessions. So, he started to shift his spending towards things that would give him lasting memories rather than short-term satisfaction. Secondly, he took a hard look at his social media habits. He noticed how often he was influenced by online ads and influencers promoting the latest must-haves. So, he made the decision to unfollow accounts that encouraged him to spend mindlessly, and instead followed accounts that promoted mindful spending and minimalism. Thirdly, Alex started practicing delayed gratification. If he saw something he wanted, he would wait for 30 days before making a purchasing decision. More often than not, he found that the desire to buy that item had faded. Lastly, he made a budget. This wasn't just about tracking his spending, but also about understanding his financial goals and priorities. Through these steps, Alex was able to resist the temptation of unnecessary purchases and redirect his resources towards what truly mattered to him. Remember, it's not about depriving yourself, it's about making mindful decisions. It's time to take a step back and reflect. As we journey through life, it's easy to get caught up in the allure of material possessions. But let's pause and consider our own shopping habits. How often do we give in to impulse buys? How can we apply the tips shared earlier to curb our desires for unnecessary purchases? When was the last time you bought something you didn't really need? Think about it. And remember, less is more. Don't forget to subscribe for more thought-provoking content.